Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spitfire, episode 17. If you are just joining us, I do apologise for Brice Tunn's awful producing. We know that on the Spotify there is many clicks and stuff that goes on in the background. Chris has assured us that this is all now fixed. Whether or not that is true, I can only apologise, but we'll try and make it as good as possible anyway.
I'm clicking now. I'm clicking now. You can't hear it.
Well, I can hear it, so...
Well, you can.
I couldn't even hear that, to be honest.
Well...
I had Brice's line.
Tunn's joining us to do his producing stuff. Whether or not he does it well, we'll find out. But more importantly, I guess for this week, one of the coaches of Call of Duty Toronto, yet to be named, it's MarkyB. Mark, how are you?
I'm good, mate. Obviously been back in Scotland since champs, so well, actually that's not true completely. I've travelled a little bit, but I've obviously spent a lot of time at home, so that's been good. And obviously just gearing up to the start of the year, sorting out the roster and whatnot, and just working out plans for the future. So it's been an exciting time, but obviously very stressful at the same time as well. So a bit of both. Feeling all right.
I can imagine. It's a bit of a, I mean, typically, actually, I was very glad when I heard you were coming on today because some of the stuff we're covering now, I know some of this you're not going to be able to talk about because we can't go too in depth, I'm guessing, into what is inner business stuff. But I'm sure I'll go off on a rant at some point. But it must be a very interesting time for you, Mark. You know, you kind of slipped into the coaching role yourself. You know, you still be finding your feet for it. And now, you know, you're going into what is probably another step up. You know, this is a whole new realm for you at the same time, building a new roster, having higher expectations, you know, new organization kind of coming in for the infrastructure for you. How is it? I know you said it's been stressful, but is it one of these things like, is it such a big shift from what you were doing last year?
Yeah, I'd definitely say so. I definitely have a lot more influence on the actual roster this year than last year. Like last year, it was like, I mean, it's just in COD in general. It's almost been like teams are pre-built and they just come to organizations. That's sort of what happened last year. The team was obviously decided itself, and sort of that's obviously a lot different to the way it is now. Obviously, that comes with its own pros and cons. So it's been a lot different, and I've been enjoying that part of it, to be honest.
I do like the sound of that, Mark. I do think it's one of the things, and I've said this a few times, right? I feel like one of the issues currently going on is the wrong people being hired in the wrong places, and some of that's due to the fact that, you know, you got teams picking staff and picking players and so on and so forth. But before we get into that same old rant again, one of the topics we are talking about now is coaches. Now, a lot of teams are having 3 coaches going forward in various kind of, how do I put this, structures, I should go the way. Now, you're obviously well known. I believe you're strategic coach for Call of Duty Toronto at the moment, Marky, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So
what does that mean?
I mean, it just means that my main focus is basically essentially in-game elements of coaching, I guess. Obviously, that's sort of my main focus, really. And it really has been, but it's sort of allows the other positions to fill different responsibilities and whatnot.
No, I can see that happening because I thought it was curious because somebody asked me during the week, they said, why is there now 3 coaches? And in my mind, I don't think it's a bad thing because I think not only do you have, you know, your head coach who's going to probably be dealing more with the overall what's going on and picking up and dropping players, but you're working with their coaching staff. Now, I know some organizations are having more of a flat sort of hierarchy in that regards. Can't say I'm the biggest fan. I think if you get the right kind of head coach and then strategic coach and the assistant coaches helps out where they need. I do believe that you can have that as an organization and a structure that allows you to push the team where you want to, as a completely separate entity from the players. Because I do want a separation this year, and it has been said before, you know, some of these coaches are too much friends with the players, and I'm not saying you can't be friendly with the players, but, you know, they're too involved. They can't have that objective kind of overview that coaches should have. And like you said, this year, you know, you're more involved with building a team this year because it isn't as pre-packaged. Here's a 5, and they want this. You know, they want to join your organization, or here's a 4, and they're going to pick up their mate who they think is going to be pretty good. What do you think about the whole, you know, coaching moving forward, Marky? What's your philosophy on how you'd like to do things?
I mean, obviously, there's teams that have went sort of different routes. There's obviously you look at the London team, for example. They essentially have obviously Joe is the head coach who although has no like head coach experience, he's always been like a very high IQ Call of Duty player that's that's obviously knows a lot about the game and has used that. He's maybe not always been around to have the best individual talent, but has always been around to be one of the more smart players. So I think they've obviously went down that route, and then they've got, like I said, they've got Shane, they've got Dom, they've got a good balance there. Shane's more of that. Shane's obviously going to be the hype man for the squad. Like Joe, I mean, Joe might have it in his locker sometimes, so you never know. But I think obviously Dom's a bit more. He's like a grinder, like hard-working guy, but he's not going to be like he more like as a quiet, work in the shadows sort of guy that's not going to make too much noise, but like is going to put the effort in. So I think they've got a good balance there. I think it just depends on the organisation. Obviously, you've seen different teams going down different routes. Some teams are only going to probably keep the one coach situation going, maybe have an analyst. So I think that honestly, I really don't know if there's like a set or there's a correct way of doing things, but it's interesting to see the different directions different organisations and franchises have went down.
I think it comes down to like what each team won. There is no direct mold for it yet. And to be honest, I don't think there ever necessarily will be. I think it's all subjective in between teams. I think it comes down to what each team want to do. As you said, like there's different ones. There's guys who have went with one coach. There's teams who went with three. Then there's people who went with a coach and an analyst. Like it's gonna change between everybody. We'll probably see different layouts on nearly everybody, but more staff in general is what we're seeing, and I'm all for that. All for more members of staff at the end of the day. The more people involved, it sort of legitimizes it a little bit. The more heads talk together. It's one of these things where the more the merrier, I would say, in terms of staff, like coaching staff anyway.
Yeah, I'm happier to see a lot more of my friends, obviously, in positions and whatnot, and getting real legitimate careers from Call of Duty, because I believe a lot of them deserve so. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, I can agree with that somewhat, but on other ways, I think there is. You might say there's no right way to do it. Well, I certainly think there are a few wrong ways.
One coach.
I would. I think so. So here's my reasoning behind a lot of this. I want to see more people involved with the team because I think, like I said, there needs to be this slight separation where, admittedly, you will end up from now judging a coach on their performance and how they develop players and how well you actually coach players. I think that's a big thing this year, and I think some teams are going to struggle with the staff they've picked up because either those people don't have the interpersonal skills or just don't have the actual coaching ability. It's one thing knowing the game, it's another thing being able to put that across, and it's another thing entirely being able to understand a person and understanding how to make them better and get their respect to allow them to be coached. Some players are not going to be coachable this year, period, because they're going to have egos, they're going to be too young, they've never really had to be coached before. Coaching before now has been a lot of watch VODs, here's some mistakes, here's something we could work on, here's our breaks, here's things we need to look for, right? That's been coaching up until this point. Now it's going to be more of a personal responsibility of, all right, we need this player and he needs to develop in this way. And I have to tell him he has to develop in this way, regardless of what he thinks, because he needs to work within our team. And when you've got, subs and players who want to come in, you're going to have players on your sub bench who are willing to work to your program and play the way you think you should play. And that's why you should have a coaching staff as well, because you don't want one guy to decide an entire team's play style, because they could be wrong. But if you have a staff of teams, they could go over it together. You can discuss internally away from the players. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying players should be taking out of this completely. I'm saying that there has to be that responsibility for a coaching staff to be able to actually coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just needs to operate like an actual, like similar to like an old sports team model where obviously there is, but at the end of the day, the way the coach says things are like that's what should go, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, there is obviously influence in traditional sports as well from the likes of the team captain, and more senior players in the team could definitely have influences. But I definitely do think there needs to be some sort of, which has obviously not been a thing in Call of Duty. There's like even last year there was most teams, or if not all teams, only had one guy, and if there's like a sort of argument there with maybe the team captain and the coach, then there's a situation there where you have essentially two very like respected individuals as part of the organization completely disagreeing with each other, and sometimes a lot of the other sort of more, I guess, younger players in the squad might not want to sort of get involved in that. I think that's where the increased amount of staff obviously benefits as you're able to sort of come together as a more larger group with the responsibility of making sure that the team are playing the correct way, how you guys want to set up to win at the end of the day.
And I think it's important to note that with London, and I think what you said is right, Bryce. You know, you got Shane and Dom who have coached before. Obviously, Shane last year. Dom, he did a little bit last year, I think. But either way, that you've got Joe and well, if you've got Joe in there, who a lot of people will sort of say, well, you know, he's heading straight into a role in franchising of a coach. He's never done this before, but he has help around him. That's where, you know, that's going to work out because Joe immediately has the knowledge. But I think we've got the right balance of people. Like you've been saying.
I imagine London have probably got a more flat hierarchy. Like that head coach, like in a lot of franchises, like that head coach will oversee the other two coaches. And
you would think,
yeah. I imagine that in London it's probably a little bit more flat because I don't see Joe going straight in as right. I'm running this show, sort of guy. And
no, they're all going to work together.
Yeah. I think that's some things won't work like that. I think London are going to work like that.
They have obviously their own like specific roles. I guess, but I think that the way they're going to operate is just working together and just delivering the best result, feeding off each other's energy.
Yeah.
And
well, Dom's in the chat. Dom can tell us what they're going to do.
No, Dom's actually in charge. Assistant is a false word. He's actually Lord coach.
All three coaches I know for a fact respect each other heavily and are going to give each other the time to discuss things on the way they want to be operating things, and I think they're obviously going to lean on their players as well and take advice from them too. I think they're all as a whole group are going to work well together.
So here's my issue with this going to the next year, right? And it starts actually from GMs downwards because I think this is a Wild West. I think there are going to be some serious issues, and teams aren't going to be set up correctly for at least a couple of years because of the way this has gone down. And this isn't a negative thing. This is just observation I've heard from players and stuff, and it's a bit weird, right? You've got GMs who've not been GMs before. You've got coaches who've not been coaches before. You've got players picking coaches who've never been coached before, right? You've got all this kind of this big whirlpool of everyone trying to figure everything out at the same time. And I see a lack of responsibility in some places. Like, I fully believe, you know, teams are going to have the same thing where a coach isn't going to be able to override a player because that player's on close to $500,000 a year. In these big superstars across all these teams that we've been hearing about, you know, the supermax contract players. People are going to be scared to drop those players, but you know, because the responsibility hasn't really been there till now. You know, at what point does the buck stop? Is it the head coach who's going to say, right, well, this player's not playing well, or you know, my assistant coach has done absolutely fuck all this year. And he's been laughing around with you know the team and doing nothing. Or the strategic coach his strategies are dog shit. Is it the coach or is it the GM going to get involved? I think we're going to see a very flat structure going into year one because the GMs are going to be learning, you know, who can I trust coach-wise? Are these good coaches? Who do I pick up? The head coach is going to have to find their feet and figure out, you know, which coaches to pick up and put down. And also they're going to have to actually figure out, you know, which players are actually viable going forward? Because we already know, there are going to be some players who throw their toys out of the prams this year alone.
Yeah, I think that this is goes back to something that I've touched on previously. Obviously, the way Call of Duty has been structured in the past, for years and years and years, a lot of these teams and players have never had coaches. So I think there's going to be some rocky times, and there's definitely going to be some dodgy decisions here and there from different franchises and different teams and whatnot that a lot of people are going to question, and some which are going to be wrong, some which are going to be correct. But I think eventually, down the line, I think you're going to get a more stable system where the players that are coming through are going to be used to being in this system of being coached from an early age. I think that's, like I said, that's like a fundamental issue that we have currently, is a lot of these players who are maybe like in the later parts of their career have been playing for eight years maybe, and they've never had a coach or never had they maybe might have had a coach but not a very influential one, you know. And I think that it's going to take a lot of getting used to, and it's going to take a lot of trust as well from those individuals to accept that times are changing and being able to adapt to that as well. And I think that's important I definitely think that's something that a lot of players should be taking into account, that they're going to have to get used to this if they want to continue going forward in their careers. And like I said, I think that the newer players are going to be coming in or more used to this system.
And I think that an important thing to note is that it's not just the players that are going to be under pressure to perform. Like what you said, is the assistant coach, is he doing his job right? Is he doing enough? The thing is, it's ultimately going to lead the way up. Like, we've all probably worked in like a normal, typical job. If you were getting wrong for something in an office, your manager is the one that's initially getting it in the neck for poor performances. So GMs are going to get it off team owners and say, why are the team performing shit? And then the GMs are going to be like to the coaches, right, okay, who's doing this? Who's doing this? Who's not doing enough? And then they're going to be at the players. The players are the last ones. So you see in management, like in football, like it's managers that get the boot, not necessarily the players at times, although it's slightly different, of course. But I think the thing is that the book is not going to lie with anybody in particular. It's going to start at the top where people are going to be asking questions constantly. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how serious
it's going to be true. I'm actually scared about it. The more you think about it, the worse it gets this first year, because, like you said, imagine a team is not doing well. And you've got this GM, there's venture capitalists come in, and they want to figure out, well, we're trying to get our brand as valuable as possible. And if we're not winning, we're probably not attracting fans and what else, and they're probably putting pressure on them. They're going to be stressed anyway, trying to get all their marketing going and the franchises and so on and so forth. But, you've got the GMs, and like I said, some of them are going to be a bit flatter structure than others. The players are going to be talking about what they think about the coaches, and they'll be moaning about their fellow teammates. And they're going to be pointing fingers, and a GM might, want to listen to this guy, who's got 500,000, Twitter followers, who's very well known in the Call of Duty, and he's a player, and he's saying, oh, it's actually our coaches are not helping us, and he's going, well, maybe it is, and the coaches are going to say, well, actually, these guys are uncoachable in this way, and a lot of finger pointings. I think one thing that coaches will have to get used to is paperwork. So much. I would honestly put so much paperwork in this year. You're going to have to show how you develop it. Game plans for developing players. Putting down what you think needs to be improved in various areas. How players have been performing, their attitudes. Actually analyze these guys and put that forth into paperwork so it goes up the chain. So it goes to your head coach, so it goes to the GM. So the GM can go, look, all right, well, this is what you're doing. This is how it's being responded to. And then you can figure it out with actually something in the bank rather than, just going, oh, we lost a couple there. Maybe we should change a player. It's not going to happen as much. These contracts are too big to just willy-nilly wait for the next roster mania. They just are. You can't afford to have 6 months of shit because you've made a bad decision.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be consequences, and I think we will see it. I think if teams are struggling, we're not going to just see player replacements. I think what you were saying last week. People are going to lose jobs. It's not the same as where these players are on salaries, the coaches are doing it probably for very little, and it's sort of a case of, well, okay, you're struggling, but let's change our players, and it's going to always be probably a change of a couple of staff as well. I think if things are going badly, it's becoming a lot more of an investment. It's not so much just the money you pay the players, it's everything else. So if something's not working, you need to fix that, and it's not just a case of changing players. I think that's well and truly over.
That's why there's a lot of responsibility on staff going up the chain, from obviously starting off at the lower level of staff all the way up to the top. I think it's their responsibility as well to be very involved and know exactly sort of how the team's operating, and sort of not just allowing the team to sort of exist on its own. I think
get on with it.
Yeah, I think that's important for the franchise to be doing that, and that means they're able to sort of make more correct decisions on how everything's going. It might be a coaching staff issue, it might be a player issue, but it's imperative that these franchises are getting those situations completely correct. But obviously, there's going to be people that get sacked for like Brice touched on. There's maybe a player that is just like an absolute dick to work with, and there's going to be people that probably lose their jobs because of it. But that's just, like I said, that's
it happens in sports as well.
It happens. That's the thing. Happens. It's not like it's just because esports is new and whatnot. It happens in literal sports that have been around for hundreds of years. Yeah. So it's literally, it's not like just an issue for new up and coming sports and esports. It's just a thing. But I do think there is definitely a higher risk of it happening here because of just the way it's set up. So I think that that's obviously a big responsibility from those guys, and I think that a lot of franchises will be obviously taking that into account also. Anyway.
Yeah, there's so much of this that's just curious because we're never going to get to see every single team's internal, right? We can talk to you, Marky, and you can tell us what you can tell us without getting fired. Obviously there'll be team secrets and internal stuff. We can talk to the people we know, but it goes. You are right. It goes top down, right? What the venture capitalists want, what the GM wants, what the head coach wants. All the way down to the players' responsibility. And the thing is, here's a question: up until now, how do you tell who's a good coach? Because the only metric we can really talk about is A, what the players say, and they're not going to be objective towards it, and B, results. And that isn't always the case.
I think results are genuinely what it is judged off of. But at the end of the day, like, I really think the coaching role hasn't been as developed as it will be in future, where like coaches have more of an influence on results. And I think that's happened in the last years, where maybe not even in the last 6 months towards the end of Black Ops 4, where coaches definitely have a lot more of an influence on results. But I think it's still something that down the line will continue to grow and grow. Mm-hmm. And I think, like I said, it's just on. Like I said, it's can be multiple factors, but a lot of it's judged on results most of the time.
Yeah, I think so. And it's also the case, like, we don't know every coach's situation. Like, here's the other thing going forward is how much power is given to a coach. I know in previous years, we've spoke about it before on this podcast, that coaches don't have that power to tell people, right, well, we need to shift this player onto the bench, or we need to get rid of them because they are a dick. They are not listening, they are not coachable, and they are detrimental to the team. In previous years, you might as well have just gone into the street and told somebody who works at Greg's, because they'll help you just as much as your manager will. Right? You don't have that power. You haven't had that power in previous years. Coaches just haven't had the ability to. It's not just about, obviously coaching people is one of these things, but obviously there are, I really hope some of these franchises have put their coaches in this off-season onto coaching courses so they learn, fundamentals of it. But also giving them the backup and saying, all right, well, we are going to trust you here. You make the team choices, and you make sure that if we need to sub people in and out or do whatever we need to do, we will empower you as the coaching team to get this sorted. Because I'm dreading to think that you are right, Marky, that somebody could easily lose their job this year because, they've got a superstar who doesn't like them or doesn't want to listen, and is trying to rough road over it.
Yeah, like I said, I can definitely see that happening. And like,
it's happened before, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that obviously some of these guys need to sort of be aware of, but at the same time, I think it's imperative from the get-go when this year starts that these teams in this new sort of franchise infrastructure are changing the way that players think of coaches and stuff like that. I think it's, like I said, imperative off the off that that's the case, and people are sort of more respectful to their coaches and whatnot. And
And again, this comes back to my thing about paperwork. If anybody goes into this year just expecting to watch a few VODs and not really put anything down, I think they're going to be in a bit of a shock here, because at some point someone's going to ask what you've been doing all year. And I genuinely think, put everything down you can. And it depends on how the coaching roles are split up and what you need to do. And I don't mean just, here's strategies, or, these guys have got a good break onto this one, but also, in-depth analysis of your own players and your problems and your proficiencies. And also at some point, another kind of a scouting schedule, when we come to the roster manias, all right, where are we weak? What do we need? Who are we changing? And who are our prospects? Who are we going for? Because the GM or the, above them is going to ask at some point, right, coaches, what do we need? Who are we going to get? And admittedly, we do know that some players are running teams more than the actual management are, but that should be a conversation that happens. The coaching teams, well, here's who we think, and here's our scouts are going out, because not every team's going to have the scouts for them. Here's who are available, and the GM goes out and makes these deals. So I don't know. It's just crazy at the moment. It's the Wild West. Honestly, is.
Just to touch on what Swade's in the chat, for anybody listening at another point, saying people judge coaches based on results, which is bullshit. Someone can be a top tier coach, but if their players aren't listening, then what the fuck? But at the same time, the buck still has to land with them. It's sort of last with the players to a point. The coach has to then say, if somebody's not listening to them, then they get fucking benched or they get dropped. It has to be at that point now.
Yeah, there's not been that power though in previous. No. I think that's sort of more so what he's referring to. Yeah. Maybe.
Some of these teams aren't still going to have it, though, this year. We say this, right? We're talking about ideally, but we know being realistic and what we know about Call of Duty and what we've heard behind the scenes, there are going to be some toothless coaches this year. Some of these franchises, as far as I'm concerned, don't really give a shit about their staff. And I don't mean in the way they don't look after them. I mean in the way that they don't actually really care what happens in the staff just as long as the team plays. Players are going to be able to run roughshod over coaches, and they're going to make the wrong decisions. I'm scared that it's going to take longer to develop this into the full franchise league because I don't think we're there yet. And I'm hoping, all this, people have had to pick up staff very quickly. I understand that, except people are going to make mistakes. It's just going to take a couple of years for that to develop into an actual decent culture within these teams and a proper infrastructure where players will go in and know what's expected of them.
I hope Marky's going into like the dressing room afterwards and throwing hair dryers at people like Sir Alex Ferguson, kicking off, like kicking football. But I don't know why football boots will be in the coaching room. But I want you kicking off, Mark. I want to see you punching players.
Yeah, well, we're gonna. I'm gonna ensure there's some football boots. But I'm gonna make sure we're playing five-a-sides every morning, just so I can dash some football boots.
Yeah, but so let's move on to our second topic because this ties in with our first topic, right? It's subs. Now, I saw a few things on the Reddit, which kind of helped me clarify this. A lot of people are worried that some teams don't need subs or aren't going to bother with them, and we've been hearing rumors of the subspaces just being taken out with content creators, and I couldn't hate that more. I genuinely couldn't hate that anymore, and if I think the teams have done that, they're short-sighted. And they're not taking this seriously enough. I understand having a great team of 5 players and keeping them all year is a good tactic. I just think it's short-sighted and narrow-minded because if you're paying somebody 300 grand a year, 400 grand a year, 500 grand a year, $1 million a year, once they've got that paycheck, if they're not one of these natural-born, super hungry people all the time, they're not going to be worried about their job. Some people are almost too big to drop a lot of the time if they put up mediocre stats. And if you don't have the subs that you can try things out with and maybe keep them on their toes, I think you're doing yourself a disservice by not getting as much out of that player as you could do. I'm not saying every team has to, go super deep on subs or is going to need to use them. But the option, if you are ignoring that option, I think you are kidding yourself and you are doing yourself a massive disservice.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's just going to be simply teams that this year just don't work. Like think of 100 Thieves going into last year, right? They stacked their team full of talent, right? And they were able to make the change. This year, with the way the contracts are and whatnot, it's going to be very hard for these franchises to make changes. And some of these rosters that go into the start of the year, that was obviously one of the very few occasions that tends to happen. But that is obviously a possibility, as proved last year, that it can happen. So I think that's obviously something that should be concerned of for some franchises that have obviously stacked their team full of talent. They may not be able to, they're going to have to work on things, and the option of changing isn't there. So that's why they've got to make sure their coaching's on point. The things that they can change are obviously at the highest level. And I think that also comes down to players as well, that they're able to adapt and change to the way the game is, changing roles, whatnot. I think that's something that, like I said, 100 Thieves last year they struggled with, and they were able to obviously make that drastic change, getting in Replays as coach, bringing in Priesta. And it's going to be interesting to see how, obviously, there's rumors of different rosters. A lot of these teams are said to just be going with squads of 5 and having subs on their roster that are very unlikely to actually feature. So it's interesting, like I said before, to see. It's same with the coaching elements. It's interesting to see the different routes that franchises are going into, the way they're setting up their squads for future long term, not just year 1 either, year 2, year 3. Thinking of the whole package.
And I think, honestly, people, I take it back to sort of Rec last year. They signed Dylan knowing he was an up-and-comer. And then that's sort of you got to feel it'll put pressure on people in the starting lineup to say, well, if we aren't performing well enough, you've got somebody like that to step in. So I think, honestly, subs are super important that you're saying the best you can, because I think you'll probably get more out of your actual main 5 because you know that you've got good subs there as well, because they have to perform as they're going to get dropped.
Exactly. It gives that extra level of motivation for the players. They have a high level of motivation anyway, and they should do, but at the end of the day, these
Don't want
players are
people
going
to
to
be
want to
comfortable.
play week in, week out, and there's going to be no more motivation for that than their spot being put on the line. And at the end of the day, there's going to be some players that can't handle that pressure, but it's up to those guys to be able to use that in a positive manner, not a negative way. So,
admittedly, some pros are not going to be happy about even contemplating losing their starting place. Like you're talking
But it has to change.
Of course. Like take Krim for example. If he gets dropped for a week of league, he's going to be fuming, and the crowd, the fans are going to attack whoever's the coach and the GM is. But they need to ignore that at the point because their job isn't to appease the fans; it's to get results and see and get a team working. I think. It goes back to what we said about the coaches as well, right? Because I think a big thing this year as well is keeping you have to also develop your subs. If you are going to have them as viable options for whatever scenario, you need to know where they sit in your potential roster and where you can put them in, which also means they need to know the strategies that you are going through as well. So subs have to be coached at the same time, which is why you have a bigger coaching staff. But I am worried. I am genuinely worried that I genuinely think teams should take as many subs as possible. Don't just take the minimum two. Take as many as possible because you can get good players, right? Very good players on that minimum contract if you just offer it to them or a little bit more. Considering, some of these players are on the super maxes. You could have a whole sub bench for less than a super max.
Yeah, the issue is as well that a lot of organizations have a lot of organizations don't obviously want to go over the cap and whatnot and get to that point because obviously there's a lot of investment that has to come down at that stage, and a lot of these teams have went ahead and used a lot of their money on players and gave them very large contracts to the point where it's kind of hard for them to sign like a full set of 5 subs without pushing into that salary cap, and that's obviously something that most franchises are trying to avoid. So
that's where you put your money. That's a franchise's
fault. That's
I know. I agree. Like this, I completely agree. But it's something that they're putting a lot of stock in these players because obviously these players are getting paid these crazy amounts. Tend to be. Don't get us wrong. Like these tend to be players that have a pedigree of succeeding in Call of Duty, but we see every year. Like someone goes wrong, so there's going to be someone that drops off somewhere, and at that point, that's when it's these franchises are going to put themselves in a hole.
Yeah, which is again why you need that. You could have I don't know who's some of the players who've been overlooked. Probably going into this, because we've heard all kinds of rumors going around, and I don't know who's exactly been signed at the moment because I haven't spoken to a pros in about a week and a half. But we speak about the Europeans, right? People like I don't know Vortex Tunn. I know you're a massive fan of his.
Go on, Steve, lad.
In my mind, his performance at Champs alone puts him into a category where if he hasn't been signed by now, you have to seriously consider him as putting him on the sub bench because he's
Who did you say? Sorry,
Vortex.
All right, okay.
A player that maybe hasn't had as much exposure over in America. Players don't, look him as much. Does have a pedigree at playing at a high level. Played very well at Champs and has speed going for him, which is something that I think you always need. And this is just an example, but this is breaking down Vortex in my mind. If he hasn't been signed already, I think at least putting out an offer to him of a minimum and saying, come sit on our sub bench because he could potentially go in there. Team War did very well. All of the guys from someone put in the chat put all of units. If some of those guys who are on units, haven't been signed, there is no reason for an organization to go, well, we know they've played well, could be a potential sleeper for us or an option later in the year. Marky, you had Nelson last year, right? And he certainly didn't, completely just shit the bed everywhere when you put him onto the main roster.
We obviously went to Anaheim. He helped us secure playoffs, which was the most important thing to us. We went to Anaheim and got the exact same placement as we did at London, so we didn't decline from our move. We stayed the same, but we did qualify for playoffs, which in our eyes was the most important thing. So it was definitely the right move for us, in my opinion. So yeah,
you had Nelson in the pocket, right? That was somebody you had as an option.
Obviously, it didn't end up we then went down the line further on in the year, changed up the roster. Obviously, got Hugh Ken, and it didn't work out. But at the end of the day, I don't really think that. I think there was a lot of things.
Oh, you have to plug in my plug-in.
Hello?
There we go,
Marky.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a million possibilities with that can happen with having the right sub in. You've already used the Wreck example a million times. Like if they didn't have Dylan Codd on as their sub, like think of the different possibilities of what could have happened this year. He could have been signed somewhere else. He might have not reached
might
the
never
heights
have seen him.
he might have not been he might have not reached the heights he did this year because he wasn't surrounded by great players like he was in Rec. So you know what I mean? It's like there's so many possibilities that happen with these.
I don't
these
even think
substitute
Dill's the best
positions.
example. I don't think Dill's the best example. I think Dent is the best example.
Yeah, Den.
A lot of teams would have, in how it's been, could have just put him out of the team entirely, and then when they had to restructure, comes back in, they do it well at chance,
Simps, another really good example. He was on the bench for United at the beginning of the year, didn't work, brought him in, 2 times MVP. I mean, like these are the things where there are young players, especially. We talk about guys like Vortex, Tommy's, all these boys who've been around for time who will definitely do a job for you. But then there's the other side of it where you'd be taking risks on potential as well. Like this is why we think subs are so important. There's so many different aspects to it. There's not just, as I said, veterans who will come in, step in. It's not your 35-year-old who's played in the Premier League for 10 years who will always come and do a job. There's other guys that are coming in. Like you're signing this youngster who might be shit hot. You give him a go for $50,000 a year at a minimum. Then shit, he might come and win you a championship. You never know. So
down the line, he could be worth 250,000. You know what I mean? Like I definitely think that that's something that franchises should be doing, is having a good balance of experience and young talent. The guys you see as being those next Simps, Dylan Codds, etc. on your roster, because at the end of the day, there could be a time where things aren't working for your team, like was happening with the United. They got top 16. They made one change, and that one change propelled them from a top 16 team to world champions, playoff champions, and like contenders throughout the year. After that point, probably the best team of the year, to be honest.
Definitely the best team of the year.
And I saw a few things in the chat about this. Talking about we're talking about 50,000 a year here minimum, and then obviously up to 5 subs. But I think we've become a little bit jaded already by the money involved in franchising, because we are essentially just spending franchising money going, we just pick up an extra $250,000 a year in players.
But in the grand scheme of things,
we are talking about serious investment. I wasn't joking when I said I genuinely believe that for almost any team entering franchise, the minimum investment is somewhere to 40 to 60 million, regardless of what a spot costs. Because obviously you're going to have your staff and your 5-10 year plan, your franchising, your marketing teams. Some better than others. You're going to have, your locations you've got to scout out, all this sort of stuff you've got to put into it. So when you really dial down for it, to have that versatility in a very core aspect of this business, your team, which everything else is centered around, to have that versatility, I think subs is essential. And it disheartened me greatly when I've already seen, the rumors of subs being overlooked, because so many good players are going to be left out in the wilds where they could do. And I know we speak a lot about European players on this because we do know them. But I also think it's a risk-reward thing when we talk about European subs, because I think there are a good amount of European players who probably won't get picked up this year because they're not American. And that's basically the only reason, because there are some Americans who seem to get into teams when they are probably lower skill-wise. I'm hoping with franchises that changes a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if
it's not just that, it's visas and stuff as well. Though. I think
those aren't even like factors anymore, to be honest with you. I think honestly, I would like to touch more on what Brice just said. That's something I've been thinking about recently. There are a lot of European. There's a lot of European talent out there, that the players that have played maybe in the European scene since they were 14, 15, 16, been playing for years. They've came in, like, look at that S&G team, for example, right? Those guys have been playing in the European scene for years, right? They've been going to events for a while. And those sort of, in America, like, look at Dashi, for example, right? This is obviously an extreme case, but he had never placed inside top 8, and he went from placing top 12 highest to being immediately picked up by Optic, then being the best player in the game, all in the space of a couple months, right? And at the end of the day, that doesn't really tend to happen with these European guys. Like, you've got, like I said, that SNG team, they've placed top 12. I almost feel like if they were American, they would have a lot of those players would have already been picked up into franchise spots, to be honest with you.
I'm nodding my head for anybody just listening. Honestly, we've said it, and I know we'll probably be slightly biased to a point,
Yeah, no, we're definitely mostly biased.
Because we've known a lot of these guys for years. We know there is talent, but it is massively overlooked. And I hope at the same time the Australians don't get overlooked as well. Because you know,
this goes for every scene in America. Like I feel like there's just a lot more opportunities for these younger players. Like all these guys are like, oh, he's the next best thing, and everyone's talking about them, but no one really talks about those next best European talents, even though they do go to events and do it. Even when they do prove it, it's not like it's because they've not been shown in that light beforehand online and whatnot, and players don't really know who they are. It's really the issue. But that's obviously something that's going to be taken into account more. You've got a lot more staff here, like myself and other under other franchises that know these European players and will give them more time of day. Because they're just simply more aware of them.
But that's expertise, and we've spoke about this in the coaches section, right? There are some franchises out there who I believe are basically having players dictate their roster, and when they do that, and we spoke about right, this has been one of the big things on Twitter, the friendship groups. You know, they're bringing in people they know, they're friends, because they can trust them. Not all the time are they objective. Not all the time are they the correct decisions, or are they the best players available. And you are right, Marky. I think there are also a lack of experts who can go into other regions like Europe and Australia and go objectively, that player will fit. That player, we could take them and they are undervalued. Take the movie Moneyball, for example, right? I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's a baseball thing. If you look objectively at players, and what they're doing this for, they look at baseball players objectively just by their numbers, ignoring the hype, ignoring everything else. They look at the numbers and they use the numbers to figure out how to win baseball games. I would go as far to say is that when they talked about players being undervalued in baseball, but they had these on base percentages and all this other stuff, European players right now are undervalued for what they can actually bring to a franchise. You know, you have these teams who've played internationally, and don't get me wrong, European squad for the last 6-7 years has not been as good as North American. Period. It just hasn't been. But there are players who can do it. And there are teams who can go. And if you start trying to slot these players in, these fast players, these good players who are lower down, they are undervalued. There are some genuinely shit players from North America playing right now in franchises and in the league last year who don't deserve spots. There is better talent out there.
But then, if we're thinking that, you know, these coaches and GMs should then be forcing things to change, then they should be caught out, you would think. But I mean,
nobody looks at it. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, you should have picked up this European player." Nobody's going to look at that yet. It'll be the people who have the expertise already that will go and do it, and then that hopefully will, because nobody sees that correlation. Nobody goes, you know, everybody talk. You know, we talk about Dylan, right? Well, Reciprocity had to have the expertise to know that Dylan was a super hot prospect. Some North American, like the Midnight, you know, staff and team, they weren't going to pick up Dylan at any point. They had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
There was no expertise there for them. And that's not just a shot at Midnight. That's just telling, you know, these teams do not have the experts in. And the same thing with staff.
That's just the way Call of Duty is, though, in general. Like,
but it shouldn't be anymore. Not when
it shouldn't be anymore. Like,
million.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think that now going forward, like it is in other esports like League of Legends, usually as an example, they should be looking at every region, every nation, looking at all the talent and judging them for multiple different reasons, like just pure gameplay, what they bring to the team, etc. Like everyone needs to be taking everything into account and really thinking meticulously when they're making these decisions onto who they're signing on their sub bench or their starting roster, etc., etc.
Yeah, I agree. Ton, have you seen that in the chat?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, right, you saw that out. No, I agree. I think it's one of those things, and somebody in the chat brought up this point, right? It's a gamble. Picking up young or unknown or slightly less value players is a gamble. You are correct. However, please bear in mind that every single player this year is a gamble. It's just a thing of risk. Technically, we don't know who the best player on Modern Warfare is yet. We don't know how to rank them. We know roughly. We can have an educated guess based on what we've seen in previous years. You know, the length of time they've been playing, how much they've been at the top, who performed last year. But it's a different engine for a start this year, different mechanics. We don't even know the game modes yet. We don't know exactly what is going to be needed. And everything will be an educated guess and a risk.
Yeah. A lot of, like sorry, just jump on and interrupt you here, but like you're saying, every factor of making these teams, building these teams is taking educated gambles at the end of the day. We're playing a new game every single year. Some players coming to the new game aren't as good. Like I'm just repeating what you're saying, but this is like something that a lot of people don't understand. They would rather go with the guy that's maybe sort of been average for years and years and years, or they could maybe have this guy on the sub bench that has the potential to grow into this next guy. So it's like an educated gamble, I guess. You can either go with you can go with the guy who's been consistently decent for years, but he's still may not be good, or you can go with a higher risk gamble but a higher reward. That's literally the way it is: high risk, high reward, or low risk but also could fail. It's just like at the end of the day, we're playing a new COD every year, and this is the way it is. And every single year, like I keep saying, there's teams that are on paper going into the year do not perform anywhere near, and then that's when changes come in. So I think that it's important for everyone to wrap their head around just
and not only that, right?
Covering all your bases. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Some of these veterans and the average players have been playing for years. You know, they have other issues, toxicity. You know, whether or not they're aggressive. Speaking of toxic, though, Reedy, how are you?
Yeah, buzzing, mate. Toxic as fuck. Feeling myself. How's everyone doing tonight, Mark? How you doing?
Good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good.
You got a haircut, mate?
No. This is
shit!
Straight on all the time, bro.
I thought it was looking fresh for a second, man. It was just the lighting, I guess.
Yeah, always the lighting.
All right, Reedy. You wanted to come in. You were listening, I'm guessing, to what we were talking about: coaches and subs for next year.
Coaches and subs for next year. Right? Can we get one thing fucking started about these GMs hiring analysts that aren't actually analysts? They're data analysts. They're numbers people, right? I could name 5-10 people that should be on one of these teams that are actually good analysts that know the game inside out, yet they've picked up people that are writing down numbers.
I hope you're not slating JP here.
What do you mean, JP? I mean, I'm from sources. I'm being told he didn't even do majority of his work last year. But you know, that's me.
That's.
I know, bro. Listen, that's just from what I heard. I don't know anything about the guy.
No, JP's a good guy. And
he might be a good guy, right? I'm not saying he isn't, but he's a data analyst. He's not an analyst. He doesn't know more about the game than, let's say, who can I say? Let's say, for example, Parasite or Ricky or anyone.
Yeah.
He doesn't know more about the game than them, man. Doesn't know more about the game than, say, for example, Swanee. I know you never will take it. Swan hasn't played in 3 years. He's still got a better mind than any of those people that are being data analysts that are being picked up. It's ridiculous.
That data analyst thing is curious, though, right?
No, listen, if you're going to pick up an analyst for numbers, just name him as a data analyst. Like RG, I love him to pieces, right? He's a sound guy. Don't get me wrong. But his tweet the other day infuriated me. Let me go find it.
Well, funny enough, while you're finding that, someone actually sent my management an email asking about positions in the CDL next year. And I kind of got it forwarded to me. And I looked at it and I was like, they're basically like taking just numbers. It's just numbers.
Read that tweet and tell me why that infuriated me.
All right, let's have a look. Really, give me 1 second. And return again. I'm the only other analyst in the Call of Duty scene at this time. I believe there will be a lot I can bring to any team. I'm willing to work harder than anyone else. I am willing and able to relocate. Email is in my borough. Once again, appreciate support is appreciated. Analyst statistician able to relocate. I'm guessing that you call them the only other analyst.
Literally.
And that technically analyst is you are correct, is a term where you can apply it to people who actually analyze the gameplay and various stuff that goes on towards it, and not just a data analyst.
I think at some point down the line, you're going to have both roles being used. You're going to have, because I do believe data is important because it can lead you down different paths that you might not. For example, last season, right, there was a lot of times on like hard points where we were actually watching the game back and thinking we were worse on specific hills, but we're actually losing time, like scrap time here and there that we're not noticing on specific hills. That's actually leading us to lose more so than like the one hill that we're focusing on. And I think that's something you might not notice just when you're just on the naked eye, just watching the game. I think that's just one example of the benefits of data analysts. But I do think that the more important thing is the guys who understand the game and those sort of the guys that can help influence the team from a gameplay perspective. and I think that both roles are important, and both can obviously.
Don't get me wrong, right? A data analyst is useful, right? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize what's going on. It really doesn't. Like, they're just throwing numbers out there. It's good to have. Say, for example, you're coaching me and like, Reedy, you're making the wrong play here, and I'm adamant I'm not, and then he shows me the numbers of what I'm doing here and here is like causing this to like X, Y, and Z.
I think it has its place. It has its place.
It has its place, 100%. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think these teams that are hiring these data analysts, because they're not analysts, they don't know more about the game than me. They don't know more about the game than Madcap, Optimized, Sonny B, anyone that I speak to. They don't. That would love to be going into spots like this, yet they're not getting the opportunity because data analysts are getting them, which is fine, fair enough, right? Whatever. They've done their part. They've written a couple numbers down. Majority of them probably just like copied one dude last year and then just made their own spreadsheets, whatever. That's cool. Whatever. Each to their own, right?
Yeah.
But there are people out there, like even Brice. I could say you're probably a better analyst than some of these people that have been picked up in the franchise team.
I don't know.
Honey, I think no, honey. I think you like on a serious note, and you can't convince me otherwise.
No, I agree with what you're saying, and
these people.
this goes back to
hold on. There was who was the guy that got picked up for Atlanta?
I don't know.
Easy Mac.
Easy Mac. Who is this, Donny?
He was FaZe's data analyst last season.
Oh, okay, data analyst last season. Okay, makes sense.
But I mean, to be fair, they
and another thing that's happening as well, right? Is a lot of these teams are picking up people that done the work for them.
In fairness to Atlanta, though, they do have they already have the structure where they have Replays as head coach. They have obviously RJ, who's assistant, who is, I guess, I don't know how they're going to structure their team the way it's going to work. But my idea would be there's going to be obviously more responsibility put on certain figures for certain tasks, and I'd say that maybe one of the coaches would have the priority of watching the VODs back and stuff like that. It depends on the way the team operates, obviously. And Easy Mac probably is more of that data focused guy. And I definitely, like I said, I think there's benefits of every position, and I think obviously franchises ideally have the budgets for that, because I definitely think there's that's going to be beneficial to the team. So.
This is what we talked about, right? Though we said, and I don't know when you jumped in, but I said in the coaches section, I said I believe there are a lot of people who are stealing a living, have been picked up wrongly, do not deserve the position they are going to be given next year, because franchises don't know any better yet. They don't have, and some of this, right? Some of this is what going to be work ethic. Some of it's going to be what they do know, what they don't know. There is no hard and fast rule, right? Between ex-pro players, there are going to be ex-pro players who are going to be doing very, very, very well, and there are going to be some who aren't very good, some who aren't personable, who aren't coaches, and some of it's down to personality, work ethic, and a dozen other factors, right? Just because you are good at one thing, being a player does not mean you're going to be the greatest, GM or statistician or head coach or whatever. It doesn't mean that. But we don't know that yet for some of these people. But I do believe there have been people picked up falsely and been looked at in the wrong way. And it's difficult, right? We can sit here and criticize all day long, and I know some of us have been criticizing in the background when we spoke. And I'm sure over the next 6 months to a year, you are going to see people who are criminally incompetent. And
some of these people can't even do their own laundry, and yet they're being trusted with 25 million plus spots. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And I don't get it. I really don't. Like, I've been trying to sell myself as an S&D tactician. Like, something I'm passionate about, right, is S&D. And it's always shown throughout my whole career, whatever team I've been in has been somewhat good at S&D. Myself, I've held myself at a high standard when it comes to S&D. And I can't even get a motherfucking reply back. And then I see who these teams are picking up. I'm not saying I'm entitled to it. No, I'm not. I don't want to feel entitled. But I know I can do a better job than majority of these people.
But I think that's the issue, really, is that that's what I was just saying.
It's not just in COD, that's just life.
It's not even that. It's more that there are decisions being made, and sometimes you got to disagree with them. Like, I disagree with some of the stuffing that has been done, and some of the things I've been hearing from teams. Some of the players that I've heard in the back end that have been picked up this year genuinely shocked me, because I think some of them are toxic children who barely even deserve to play Call of Duty for a living, let alone get these massive contracts, and certainly are way too entitled on the timeline to believe their own hype. You guys write your own press releases most of the time. it's so much of this next year is based on the culture of the company and the personalities of the people driving it, right? Just the different personalities going in. Like, obviously, me and Reedy have a very fiery and engaging personality. We might not work well together, but who's to say which one of us will be better in one of these positions, right? But at the same time, you could have somebody who doesn't talk and just isn't able to go confrontation-wise. Also, could be very bad at one of these positions. Like, Reedy, you said a minute ago, I could be an analyst. That's true, but at the same time, I know my personality would probably want to be more involved than that. So maybe I wouldn't be the best choice. As much as I can talk about Call of Duty all day with you guys and tell you about things, and I've had more than enough chats with players over the years about mistakes they've made in games or what their team needs or what they've done wrong. And as you two can attest, I end up chewing your ear off at the bar after an event.
Oh, without a doubt, and it gets annoying at times, but it is what it is, right? You just sometimes you've got to listen to it. But that's some of the things. Like, I feel like some of these people that they picked up aren't going to be confrontational. They're going to be too scared because, like, last year, I can guarantee I could name a few people, which I'm not going to do because you never know, it might affect me in a roundabout way, that were literally just there because they were pals of people, and they ain't going to tell XYZ that they're doing XYZ wrong because, I'm sorry, it's absolutely freezing my room, I'm shaking. Because they're scared, like, if I cry, then this player's going to go cry to management and I'm going to lose my job. Like, people just, like, it's franchising now, man. Like, these companies have paid so much money and they're putting, I don't even know, man.
Let's change tack here because this is a lot of ground we covered at the start here. One of the conversations we were talking about, really, and you could probably weigh in here because we were being biased, and I'm sure you will too. We were saying we think there are going to be subsections of players that are criminally undervalued, and one of those we said was probably the European players floating about, because I'm sure you've heard in the background, and I know a few players that haven't been signed who I think should at least have that opportunity because they are going to be better than some North American amateurs. What do you think in that in regards to the sub situation for next year?
Criminal, mate. It's criminal. That's all it is. It's literally straight criminal. I know one player that should be something. I don't know if anything's changed over the last couple of days or not. He should definitely have something. He's always been, like, since I teamed with him back on IW, there's a big enough hint there that he hasn't been put into a team yet that I know of is criminal, even on a bench. It's absolutely criminal. And then I'm hearing Mutex is being picked up as a sub. Fucking Mutex. Guy's a fucking burger. I play him on EU host when he's on American. He's not good. Like, why has he been put into a franchise team as a sub?
Okay, well,
like,
I was gonna.
What's happened here? Why am I hearing this? Why am I hearing this when other people aren't being put into a team yet?
In fairness, wait,
Mutex is an analyst?
I just lost my mind on who Joel said it was.
He's an S&D analyst. I literally wiped the floor with this brother every single fucking day when I played, like, what are they called? Global challenges. Every single fucking day I see this guy, I'm like, free dub, free cash. That guy is fucking trash. As Temp would say. Like, this motherfucker's literally been put up as an S&D analyst. I'm sitting there, yeah, busting my ass. Well, not busting my ass. I'll send emails here and there. And I can't get a fucking I can't even get a fucking reply back. What is going on here?
I love that. How you just, like, bust your ass off. Well, not really bust my ass off. Send emails here and there.
Tupac. Some brother called Tupac that played Modern Warfare Remastered.
Oh, I forgot how good it was, really, to have you in these podcasts.
Bro, honestly, it's not, because it's a bad thing, because I'm going to say something and then people are going to see this and they're going to be like, oh, what's going on, man? This guy is just a toxic guy.
There was actually something about this on the Reddit, and I was going to bring it up. Who was the two players? Was it Killer and Embos talking about, laughing at some of these team rosters and stuff?
I mean, they can't really.
And I was like, I was shocked that it was those two doing it. I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, they have pedigree, of course, but they have been, like, well, I don't really know.
Well, one of them, yeah.
Like, I mean, they both won any event.
Oh yeah, no, don't get me wrong. That's not the point I was
making. That was a long time ago, and at the end of the day, there's been a lot, like, I feel like at some point I do agree that, like, experience is definitely beneficial and has a lot of benefits, but I just said the same thing twice. But I think that those guys are, a bit past it, to be honest with you. And I think that there's no way that they can sit there and say that they deserve spots over some of these younger guys or experienced players that have been competing for the last 4 or 5 years while they haven't been.
Yeah, no, they're delusional as fuck. Let's just be real.
Yeah, and we were saying about I think subs they are criminally undervalued, and you are right. You know, that player really, by the way, not getting signed, fucking mind blown.
I mean, at this point, I don't know who you're on about because there's a couple.
There are. You are right there. There are a few players from Europe who are definitely worth a punt, and they are worth more than a punt than some of these, you know, American names.
I've had my differences with Dylan in the past as well, right? You see Madcap, but he should definitely be on a bench or a starting lineup somewhere. Like, there's loads of players from Europe, and it's going to be this way. And I've always fought Europe's corner, always, no matter what. I've always said the European pros or like the AMs, and we'll say the AMs, right, are 10 times better than the American AMs. Always have been, always will be. There's no denying that.
Well, what was it? Miami wasn't a European showdown, wasn't it? Full Europe showdown.
I mean, yeah, and then even like the Australian team, they should have been in the Pro League. They horribly choked, but like the top Australian players are better than all the NAMs. Like the NAMs, like there's so many of them. They're all just tragic, to be honest with you. Like I played in a couple NA 2Ks out there with, like when it was the AM scene, and it was so bad to play. Like you're just sitting there thinking, why am I even bothering? Like, these players do not know how to think logically in a game, and it blows my mind. Like, how's Tommy not even been looked at yet?
I was going to say that. How on earth? Like,
I could literally name 20 people.
Yeah, Tommy and Madcat. Literally, like if you pick up these players, you get a known quantity that, and I don't know why. For some people, think they're past their prime. Tommy went into champs, looked fantastic. Madcat, admittedly, Fuego didn't make it out of groups, but you know, could have done. Was a very tough group as it turned out, apart from, the team shit in the bed. But still looked very good and still was at champs. Bearing in mind they still qualified for champs.
Yeah, and can we just throw it back as well? This isn't Black Ops 4. This COD's completely different to Black Ops 4. Like, hello? It's crazy to me. It really is.
I mean, it's maddening. I really wish there was like
this is what happens in a roundabout way when. Again, I hate to say this because it could come across like Reedy's just being
you.
Being like toxic and like why is he saying this? But this is what happens when these big franchise teams are hiring XYZ, right? This is what's going to happen because they haven't got the knowledge. They haven't.
Yeah, you are right.
And then they're putting in the players are getting put in control, which you kind of like. In about 2 years, 3 years time, the players ain't gonna have like the say that they're having now, but they have the say they have now because these companies don't really know what all these organizations are hiring people, and then the players are bringing X, Y, Z, and like, oh, we're not signing unless he comes as well, rah rah rah. Like it's just crazy to me. Like if I wanted a bang out star-studded player, I'd be like, yo, this is on the table. Take this. We're gonna build a team around you, rah rah rah. If he wants X, Y, Z, all right, we can maybe think about one of them. Right, let's just build the best team we can. Let's not just have, I don't know, man. It's just like 18 to 21-year-olds like dictating these spots, and when 6 months goes down the line and the team's failing, the GM's gonna have to get looked at, the coaches are gonna have to get looked at, like everything's gonna have to get looked at and scrutinized because like how has it even come to this?
Yeah, I think you're right. Actually, and we spoke about this earlier, right? We spoke about it with Marky, and we said, these players also don't have that responsibility. Of if they leave to go to a different team, they don't give a shit about what they've left behind.
No,
they don't care if their mates in that team doing well or not. They're onto their new and next big contract. There's no responsibility for them after that first result and how well they're doing. A lot of them are out for themselves.
Yeah.
But let's have a little move on here because we have covered that for quite a while, and we do have one last little topic I want to talk about here. Call of Duty Mobile just dropped.
Have you played it already?
Have you played it already?
Oh mate, honestly, it's actually sad how decent it is.
Right? How good is that game?
It's actually sad, bro. You put it on contour and it's fucking popping. It's so sad.
I was like,
bro, even the blackout map is sick.
Wait, is the blackout map the same as the?
No, bro. You've got pipeline on there. You've got overgrown. You've got grass.
Oh wait, so it's like a blackout map, but with like
it's actually
old maps on it.
Yeah, it's actually.
Well, I mean that's obviously what blackout's like currently, but
I was so I downloaded it last night, and then 2 hours of my life disappeared. I was shocked,
including 8/10 of my battery.
Yeah, I was shocked at how good Call of Duty Mobile is.
Yeah, it's actually crazy.
Can we just talk about the fact that they have ranked play already?
Ranked play and BR from the off.
I might get an iPad.
I mean,
and get
it has been in like development for like 2-3 years, right? I swear it's
been around for a little while.
It's obviously a lot more basic to design that than like an actual.
Is it? It's got a lot of stuff in there, mate.
Well, yeah, no, it's got a lot of stuff, but like I think the design process is definitely a lot more basic from.
It's not going to take your graphic designer as long, you would imagine.
Yeah, I definitely think the process is definitely not as long.
I saw Legion on it the other day with he emulated it on his PC and played it with keyboard and mouse.
Yeah,
criminal.
Yeah, he was walking about like I was watching that as well. He was walking about quick scoping folk on Nuketown, mate, like getting like 10 pieces.
But you can do that.
Yeah, you can. There's I think there's actually attachments that you can get, so you can use a controller and you can use a keyboard and mouse on your.
I hope they don't allow it though, because there's rumors of that.
I don't think
if it's on an emulator, it's not an awful lot they can do.
Well, no, I know, but like if it went further, like I think. You look at PUBG Mobile, for example. That is actually quite big. Like in terms of like an esport, there's like genuine money like involved. And like mobile gaming, like you think of Clash, you think of all those.
Game is gonna be.
It's mental. Like for one, it's free. Literally anyone, nearly anyone can play it. Like you don't have. It's so accessible. It's more accessible than Fortnite. You would say to a point. Like you don't have to have the console. You don't have to have a PC. You literally have to have a smartphone.
Mobile as well.
Well, yeah, actually, that's a fair point.
Yeah, Fortnite does have Fortnite mobile, but they obviously have like the actual main game on consoles and whatnot. Whereas Call of Duty is on consoles, but this Call of Duty mobile game has all the best maps and guns and whatnot. It is different, so I think it could pop off. I've seen a lot of people playing it on the timeline. Unfortunately, my phone's currently broke, so I haven't had a chance to play it. But when that gets fixed, I'll hopefully be grinding.
It's interesting for me how much is going to go out. And here's the thing, right? A lot of this is nostalgia. It's come out with recognizable guns. It's come out with recognizable maps. It's basically like Call of Duty distilled. Same thing as Modern Warfare, right? The Modern Warfare name has been played on for nostalgia purposes, but Call of Duty Mobile is accessible and fun. Admittedly, in the few hours I've played, it turns out that almost everybody until you get to like level 15 is a bot, like just completely trash, like the worst. But I'm curious to see how much it kind of continues on, because that game has a lot of replayability, ignoring the fact that it turns your battery into a smoldering hot pile of nothing in about 4 minutes. It's curious.
Going strong with it.
Well, I realised that my game died in the middle of a game because I actually got too distracted. But it does obviously use what it is going to be more intensive with it. But it's so accessible that I was trying to figure out if there's any way to tie that into the CDL next year.
No.
Because I just can't think of a way that
there's no way you could tie it in.
Yeah, I would. Well, here's one thing I would like. Admittedly, it's not the same thing here because it's probably a different vertical for them. I would want to see it maybe drive traffic towards viewership in some way. I don't know how it would do it because they are different games. Modern Warfare and obviously Call of Duty Mobile is going to be a different game, different experience, and there's not a lot of crossover here. And like I said, they're probably different verticals, so they're not really going to interact too much. But I do see it being a very big thing in the coming year because of how surprisingly good it actually is. So I would like to see, if maybe an advert on there, you're going, oh, by the way, if you want to watch the professional Modern Warfare stuff, click here and you can go watch it on your mobile. Just straight out, just something on that dashboard. I don't know, like I said, different verticals and stuff, but I do see it being a very well played game. And bearing in mind it's free to play and stuff, it could do very well in China. It is Tencent. Tencent do have a lot of that market as well. I think they own PUBG and they own probably Fortnite in there as well at the same time. So it's one of those things like there is a big viewership market there if it spreads to other areas. How do we get that back into, what is essentially our bread and butter, the global franchise league next year? But that's just my thought.
Yeah, it has so much potential though. I think I don't know if anybody here has played PUBG Mobile. Felt quite similar, but maybe a little bit smoother. And I said that has a massive audience. It has a massive esports sort of scene. So I don't see any reason as to why things couldn't get rolling with it.
I need to ask. Yeah, there's S&D on it. It's actually really good, Mark. I need to ask, who the fuck picked up Mutex as a fucking S&D analyst? I actually need to know, because I'm actually confused right now.
Is it just a rumor?
Fucking gone.
I'm sure it's just a rumor right now, but I don't know if it's confirmed. I mean, I've heard the name, but I can't even tell you.
People are putting down.
Mutex is one of the streamers that plays S&D tournaments in LA.
Okay. Shit.
Yeah, I wouldn't really say he's in that he's not in the same level as obviously Ellie's got that reputation for being good at S&D online and on streams and whatnot. I wouldn't really put him in the same bracket as him, but I'd say he's a decent S&D player. But S&D is completely different and competitive, and that's something that a lot of these S&D players adapt to. But there is a lot of differences. You can't get away with the same stuff on LAN with the structure. People's communications are so flawless that they're not letting anything slip, and most of these S&D players playing.
Brother played on open bracket on World War II, did he not?
He might have done.
Yeah, bro, brother did it in a Sunday. Or a Saturday fucking evening, I'm pretty sure. And he's an S&D specialist, in best of threes, it's one of the main things. Hello, brother?
Well, that goes to the point. It's S&D on LAN is completely different to online. It's night and day, to be honest. I would always honestly struggle with S&D online, but my S&D on LAN was always pretty decent.
And I think something to point out though is that what the chat is saying. Imagine Clay and Krim listening to Mutex. That is something that if he has been hired, etc., he's going to have to deal with. If obviously Krim and Clay are on Dallas, of course.
To be fair, if they were on Dallas and I got hired, I don't think they would listen to me. I don't think they'll listen to many people.
Well, that's the problem that people are going to have. If you are not a super well-respected former champion, then some of these players aren't going to listen to you. Full stop. It doesn't matter. But then they're going to have to if the management give people control, like we hope they do.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. To be fair, there's very few people in Call of Duty, coaches especially, that do tick those boxes, that are ex-champions and
exactly.
Exactly.
For speaking to people of sort of that caliber, if you know what I mean, who will go,
right,
right. You know what I mean?
It's COD player of all time at the end.
Yeah. How is anybody going to say to him
quite a discrepancy?
You literally have to get fucking doped goat back before you got anybody who's going to actually.
You're just going to have to treat it like you're going to have to walk in and just start fighting Crimsix day one to assert your dominance, and that's the only way you're going to.
And then he'll come on
first team meeting, just punch him in the face, and hopefully that'll work. That is, of course, a joke. That's not actually going to work. I'm going to use this opportunity though to move on to questions from the chat. So if you have got me, we'll try and cover some of them. Some of them we will, some of them we won't. Rank the current franchise names. So we can kind of attempt this one, but these are all only rumors. I will point this out. Nothing has been confirmed. But what are the rumored ones? LA Optic is one of them.
Was that the London Ravens? Is it
London Ravens? Dallas Empire. What was the rumor one for Toronto's? Marky, you can't say nothing to it because you do know it. But I think the rumor was the Eternals. Was it the Eternals?
Can't be the Eternals because Paris Eternal.
Oh.
Yeah,
it's the Toronto Barcelona.
That's an interesting one.
Oh, Toronto Ultra, that was it.
Ultras.
The Ultras. See, I like that one.
Like the Green Brigade from Celtic.
Oh yeah, there we go. There's the connection. Rumor confirmed. I think I like the Toronto Ultras one. I know a lot of people are kicking off about the London one, and I feel like we sometimes maybe give them a hard kiss because we want them to do well. But I really hate London Ravens.
Honestly,
I don't know where that came from.
It's the Tower of London, though, isn't it? It's the Ravens of the Tower of London.
Yeah,
I see the connection.
Okay, well, I say I didn't know that, so there you go.
I'm not a big fan of American sports franchise names in general, to be honest.
Yeah, like all the NFL. Yeah, well, NFL, basketball, etc.
Think about it this way, right? Obviously, a lot of these cities in America and basketball, etc., all have these established brands now. But I was thinking about this the other day. Like, see if you were to pitch a new idea for a team, right, and they were called the LA Lakers, would you be buzzing? I don't think you would be. Like, do you know what I mean? The name LA Lakers,
I
to me
that,
anyway,
means nothing outside of the basketball team.
It's like, that's a really good name, but it's one of the best brands in the whole of sports, and I think that's on the brands themselves. Obviously, I don't really think the name is.
You have a good point,
super important.
You know,
there's a lot of rubbish names when you actually think about the actual names of
to
American
be fair,
sports
you've got
franchises.
Celtic, shite.
Right.
Right, brilliant, Reedy. Thanks for that contribution.
Calm down.
But no,
if you think outside of the box of the actual, like I said, the brand itself, I think there's a lot of rubbish names, and I think
I agree with that.
Yeah,
it's a very good point, Marky. You are right. A brand isn't the name doesn't matter until a brand is a brand.
Yeah.
And then obviously, you know, when you go further down the line, and you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
So that also covers the Thoughts on Dallas Empire stuff. Mark, when are you going to stream? You've been asked.
Who knows, mate? To be honest, I've like
doesn't have time for that. He's a big money baller now. Don't need that Twitch money.
Definitely not. But
what are you on about, mate? I've seen you in a bathtub full of rose petals, and how are we not using that? Why did I not use?
Wow. Why is it on your background?
Yeah, you missed.
Have you been on since that?
You missed the trick. But no, I've not been on since that. That was my
congratulations, Mark pal.
Yeah, cheers, mate. But yeah, like there's. I can't remember what I was talking about. To us, what were we talking about?
You've
literally made me just. I can't. My head's off.
No, asking if you're going to if you're going to start streaming again.
Oh yeah. I really don't like to answer that question because look at February this year, for example. I streamed for like 35 straight days, and then.
I haven't the time, pal. Adulting is hard, isn't it?
It's. If I was just purely a streamer, I think I could dedicate myself to it. But there's just. It's just everything else on top of it. Like, if I have like a meeting, for example, I'd have to turn off my stream, and I don't really like that idea of when you're streaming, you have to turn off your stream and build up the audience. It's just not.
What are you talking about, Fivehead?
Oh my god!
Literally, fucking. What are you talking about?
So about streaming, mate. He's answering a question.
Yeah, but why has he got a tiny streamer for a meeting?
Because he has to keep it on.
Because he got to go into a meeting, mate.
Yeah, what impromptu meetings like straight away, like. Click on the finger, Mark. We need you in a meeting right now.
No, I'm saying like imagine you have a scheduled meeting for 5 p.m. in the evening, mate, and those are prime streaming hours. You have to in the middle of your stream, you have to turn it off. You have scrims at a certain time. Like there's just so many more things you need to do in life that
prime streaming hours,
and that is not your obviously fundamental
on how
job.
You look about it.
No, but I'm just saying like there's just too many other things. If I was a pure streamer, then I could definitely balance that. There's just a lot of other responsibilities right now in my job, in my life in general. Like not just outside of COD as well, like with my girlfriend and with
fiance,
everything.
Weird
like,
flex,
fiance.
Literally weird flex.
Yeah, fiance. Sorry. Yeah, you got fiance too, really. Let's forget about that.
Perfect, Brice. Perfect.
So it's turn actually. Oh, Brice is the only one in here that's not got a fiance. What are you doing with yourself,
Brice is probably going to propose at my bloody wedding. No, that's something you would do.
Yo, Brice, what are you doing?
Jesus, it makes it worse about my life. Cheers. Do you and Tunn have any future plans to stay in COD next year? And if you had the chance to work in another esport, which one would you enter? Tunn, I'll let you take that one first.
Who knows what's happening next year for me and you, Bricey? Who knows at this point? We don't know anything about commentating or anything like that.
God knows.
Who knows? I don't think really many of the Call of Duty talent, the full timers included, know much of what's going on next year. So
I've not been spoken to yet. That's probably the most I can say.
But as far as we're aware, I don't think anybody's been spoken to properly.
So at the moment, no.
If I had a chance, to any other, I would throw everything I have at FIFA because I fucking shit. But I'm not very good at it. But...
Oh, I hate FIFA right now, man. Oh my god, bro.
What I understand, but I hate it.
I've got a second monitor right here that's got it's been punched at least 15 times over the space of a day. People that love to score byline goals, no dignity. They wake up in the morning, look at themselves in the fucking pricks.
Yeah, I've been grinding clubs, literally coming on every day, like clubs, and then going off straight.
I need a more active squad, Mark. I'm gonna have to get my boys to step it up.
Yeah, I mean, your squad would get probably smoked by the boys.
Mate, playing with Steve-O yesterday, it would.
Depends who any is, to be honest.
In general,
he might have a chance.
Our NE is actually pretty decent usually, so he's still in here, and I'll let him take the plaudits for now. But we'll see. We'll have to arrange it.
Well, taking a bit of a sidetrack.
Yeah, if Joe was any, that would be over for your squad. I'm not going to lie.
I don't
Some
know,
say he had a 16-1 record the other day.
I don't know what other esport I would enter. I've done like a dozen so far in my career, and I'd do all of them if I could. But I don't know. I don't know what the future plans are right now in regards to COD. Hopefully, I'll get an email after this stream, give me a Supermax, and that'll make everything a lot easier. Do you reckon we will see any competitive gameplay from the CDL teams before the league starts? I believe so. There's going to be like a pre-event or something, isn't there? Like a big blowout. There'll be some gameplay coming. Yeah,
a big blowout.
Big blowout.
I'd be very surprised if we have no live event action until Pro League. I'd be very surprised. Yeah, disappointed.
I definitely think you're going to get people streaming. To be honest, like if
I think
I don't really actually know the dates of it when everything starts to go down, but there's from rumored stuff. It's could be quite a while down the line. So there's definitely room for your favorite player to get the stream on.
Yeah.
So that's why I'll be streaming obviously for like a month and then not streaming again for the rest of the year. So yeah, tuning for that.
Fair enough. Optimized asked, curious how I would run a franchise from top to bottom. Now, I was actually going to answer this because let's face it, I love talking about myself and how I would do things. But it does break our rule of no super in-depth questions, and I believe I could probably go on for about 15 minutes talking about what I would actually do and my potential plans. Because contrary to popular belief, I actually enjoy that side of things. So I have actually spent my free time at least thinking it through and making up certain plans in certain areas. And this isn't the opportunity for me to go 15 minutes in depth, although, Joel, I would be happy to talk to you about it privately, just, for the banter. Let's go on to then. Do you think we will get an esports reveal where they discuss game mode schedule for the year? Yes. I'll tell you what is going to come very, very soon is that I am surprised that we actually saw players be announced because I was expecting the big, what I like to call a blowout. There will be a point where the entire next year's structure and everything is released in a press release, and all the teams will name themselves and their branding and their logo and their colors and everything coming out. Because bearing in mind, it's not long till the game comes out, and we've had none of that yet.
I think it'll be November.
Yeah, it's coming. There is going to be a massive press release.
Yeah, there's definitely a cut-off date, but it's also on I think the franchises obviously all have their different ideas how they're going to announce their players. Yeah. Some teams like London, for example, announcing their team early. I think that's obviously there's going to be different ways people go about it, and I think it's obviously up to the franchise themselves what they think is the best idea for growing their brand.
Yeah. Could we see tournaments on COD Mobile like PUBG? I don't know, because I was expecting more tournaments in Blackout. So, fuck no. Like I said, it's a separate vertical, so I imagine we will see some COD Mobile stuff, especially if it's pumping through the microtransactions. I mean, that's what kind of supports it and goes forward. So if they are making that money and they can see a way to market it for the esports side of it, then yes. Obviously, the problem being is they don't really want to take the shine off the franchise next year. So it may be a slow burner in that regards. Will we see more pros than ever hang up the sticks this year if they don't get a spot, or is it likely they will all play the path to pro? What do you think? Do you think players are interested in the path to pro?
They're going to play.
Yeah,
they're going to play the path to pro next year when, like, obviously we can all speculate that there's going to be more franchise teams.
Yeah,
right?
You'd be dumb not to. Like at the end of the day. Well, you'd not be dumb not to, because obviously there's some players that are going to want to move into different roles and maybe go outwards of not competing in Call of Duty at all, maybe going to the more traditional job. But at the end of the day, like Reedy said, there's going to be more franchises rumored, So
I mean, basically what Mark's trying to say, the absolute fucking bums that have nothing going on with their life right now and nothing.
They're going to be needed at some point.
They're going to be needed at some point, so they might as well do the path to pro, because if they ain't got any oomph and get off and go and actually can handle everyday life skills, they're going to have to stay in with this thing that we call Call of Duty, and pray to God that it makes something work, because a lot of these people are still living right now, and we need
not even those guys know what you're talking about. There's certain players that are missing out, that I don't think they should be disheartened, because I mean they should be, but at the same time they should remain positive about their future. It's the same for likes of yourself, if there's going to be potential. What?
Trying to say I'm a bum.
No. I'm saying there's going to be other roles for staff. There's going to be more positions for players on actual rosters. There's going to be more sub spots opening. Like, these are things that if you look at just Overwatch, they've brought in so many new teams, and there's all of these things are going to open up. So there's definitely room for a lot of guys that are on the cusp of being in teams. And I think they shouldn't really get down. They could end up in better positions almost, to be honest. There's some people that can miss out, and because they're not signed anywhere, they could get better deals if they have like a good start to path to pro and whatnot. And so I think there's a lot of possibilities.
That is big facts.
Yeah, there's no. I was thinking actually, there's not an awful lot of questions that everyone's been talking about. What we've been talking about. If you could build your dream coaching staff, who would be on it? That's a difficult one. And I'll tell you why that's a difficult one, is I don't particularly want to single out any people who are potentially my friends at the moment. But
Call of Duty Friend League, Bricey.
Exactly. I think the difference is how you build them from the GM level. I think the GMs have to look very, very carefully at how they set up their coaching staff and how they want the coaching staff to act as a unit. And it does start with the correct head coach. Got to have somebody who's personable and will run the ship how it needs to be run. So probably just somebody, with a little bit of confidence and gusto. And
I'd have Brice Tunn as the head coach.
Yeah.
I'd have Tunn as the head coach.
He's very driven. Very driven.
Yeah, I think he's like he just fits the whole coach persona, to be honest with you. So I think you'd have him as head coach personally.
And he stopped doing it already.
Analyst, I would have probably Joey Nubsy. Assistant coach. And myself.
Joey Nubsy.
Yeah, Joey Nubsy as analyst.
Yeah, man.
So here's a question, right? Somebody asked, like, when orgs going to learn how to announce players and do content like Rec did. And here's something I want to talk about very, very quickly. Reciprocity have obviously bowed out with their final... What, Marky? What?
I'm just laughing at Reedy, man.
What? What did I do?
Nothing, man.
I don't know what he's... Anyway, we're ready for a second. Because Reciprocity basically just ended their involvement with COD. And I've been a big fan of Rec for a long time. As soon as I came in, as far as I'm concerned, one of the things that I learned very quickly is if the players tell me if your players gush about how the behind the scenes is and they've treated you professionally and they've continuously met expectations, because we all know some terrible orgs this year, Red Reserve, Denial,
Imperial.
Yeah, completely terrible orgs.
Imperial?
Bro, I don't understand how much money I'm still owed.
You threw that out of nowhere. I didn't even realize you owed money off Imperial.
Oh, don't worry. You hold tight Greg Champagne as well.
Hold tight TCM, by the way. I'm still owed fucking 400 quid from about 4 years ago.
400 quid.
Yeah, fucking
400 quid.
You shit that now, mate.
Yeah,
it's
400 quid. I might have to invoice Swizz for that, actually.
get him on it. Send him down there.
Yeah, I might have to.
But I think Reciprocity, and so I have no affiliation with Rec at all, other than liking the players that were on the team at the time. But I found it very refreshing for an organization to come in and do what they did. Rec in Vegas was genuinely something I tuned into every week because it was good content that sold the players personally. I think people like Zed, I think he got a lot of fans this year just because of how he is in those videos.
Yeah, Zach's an idiot. We love him.
Exactly.
But that's something that orgs should be doing.
Oh yeah, no, they
did everything right from the top down.
Yeah, they kind of set the bar.
They went in a completely different direction that I wasn't expecting from when the Rec in Vegas thing was completely announced. It was most of the content was pretty much like skits, and when it first got announced, I was expecting to be like vlog style content, like where it was in some aspects, but most of the time it was. Area 52 when they're fighting aliens and stuff like that. I was like, what's going on here?
The thing is, you have Optic doing their content with, what was it again? Vision. And then you had Rec with them, but they were the only 2 teams out of how many? 16 teams actually doing content.
Yeah, well, I think
we had Splice content every event, actually.
Off it, Mark, mate.
Wait, what do you mean? We did. We had Splice vlogs every event. Go look on the Splice YouTube channel.
You did. It was just shite.
Yeah, it was pretty much. No, it wasn't shite.
I'm joking.
It wasn't shite. I just don't think we.
It was good.
Here's the difference, though. I
think we went as hard on it as we should have. That's on players and coaches and whatnot.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? Here's what Rec did well: is they did do their events. So they did a London one, and they did it with the behind the scenes for the players, and the players talking about their experience at the event, the typical vlog style content we see, right?
Yeah.
But they also did fun stuff that explores with their players, and probably built the team as a thing there, and also it was engaging enough that you tuned in without having to see the same shit of players walking up to a main stage, darkly lit with epic music, and then clips of the game, and then you go and get clip of the players. You can basically showboard the typical content coming out of orgs very, very easily. And some of them didn't even do that because they're terrible at it. But high production value and investing in them and doing things correctly is the correct way to do it. And I think Reciprocity, from everything they did, in regards to where their players, I didn't hear a single horror story out of their players about, being treated poorly or anything. They still rave about them. They're still very, very happy with Rec. And then they did everything else as well. And they took a risk on a bloody UK team. Like,
yeah.
you tell me...
Daddy Swizz for that.
Yeah, you can tell me about an org who's done that.
Williams just scored a screamer. Don't fucking tell me.
You think that was a risk though? They were like pretty much the foundations of Unilad,
wasn't it?
In the last year.
Yeah, but this is it. You got to talk about bringing in a lot of these teams, like they've done in franchising. Marky, you've just picked up American nobodies. Teams who aren't really ever going to excel. Reciprocity not only did that, but they lent into it. I think it's just me kind of showing my appreciation for an organization, because we've had some horror stories, especially this last year.
We just got to hope they get a spot next year, mate. Honestly.
No, that's the thing was with Rec, like, that I really appreciated. They were like done everything for the players, and it also meant the players wanted to do everything to build the Rec brand as well. And I think that's so important for. If you look at Optic, for example, that's how their relationship works. That Hex, the previous Optic, the old Optic, whatever you want to call them, Hex would do everything for his players, and it meant that the players had no excuses not to try and grow that brand, because they know they had each other's back at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that sort of relationship is so important for building content, having a good relationship with the videographer, etc. I think all these factors are massively important. It comes across on camera as well.
I mean, I know this is like a lot different, but when I was in Elevate, I didn't mind doing content at times, because I knew how much Brandon would like do for us, what he done for us and stuff. But then there was other times where, like, if we weren't on really good terms with management, I would be thinking, yeah, do you know what, fuck doing this video for my man.
I think also that's a product of our experience too, because I feel like the older generation, I mean, it's not like we're a different generation, but the older players sort of appreciate the importance of content more, whereas the younger guys who are coming to the scene now really just want to grind and like be the best players they can be, which I respect, but at the same time they need to be able to balance both, and that's something I feel like the older players have more of a grasp on.
But yeah, you are right there. It's also one of these things, like, younger players also are not camera ready. They're just not. Like, a lot of times,
I mean,
they're
not
ready for
fucking it. Clapped.
Like, you take.
Whoa! Am I lying?
You take you two, for instance, right? I guarantee you'll. In fact, Marky, if I want to go back, there's a video with me and you at EGL 5.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I'd on YouTube at some point.
You there to you today, you would be much more confident giving an interview on main stage than you are now, just because of the experience and the personality you've turned into. Same with Reedy. Obviously, Reedy, we can't shut up. Reedy's been fined for being too outspoken on stage more than once. But it's one of these things where these younger players need to understand how important it is, and it's how you build a fan base, and your fan base will of course get you not only a bigger contract, but mean that you are in the spotlight more. Like, there are players being picked up now because they are more in the spotlight. We spoke about with the Doug Sensor Martin thing, right? We said, Doug is could be picked up for a franchise because he has a brand. People want to pay for that brand. It's very, very simple. People want to pay for the brand. They want to pay for what you can give them. If one of those things is, extra followers and extra marketing, well, then that's money in your pocket. And I hope they understand that. And I hope teams understand that this year as well, because some of the content already from the franchises, you spent 25 mil for a spot and whatever else, millions on player contracts. You need better content. Period. Hire the right people.
Pin in it.
Yeah, and on that note, I think we're gonna start winding down here. So let's have
30 minutes, surely, lads.
Reedy, we'll let you have your final thoughts, Reedy. Anything else you want to say?
No, not really, bro. No, just it's absolute criminal that Mutex has been linked with a S&D role within the team in the CWL.
So you did this last year though, when you slated a few players and they went on to do all right, man. So
wait, they went on to do all right. Name me one player. You can name me one player, and he still came last at champs.
Well, that was one.
You can name me one player. All right, go on. The rest of them. How
The
the rest of them do?
The rest of them did well.
The rest of them did well. You can't even name the rest of the players. Go on.
So it was Envoy. It was Brack. Did you ever go Brack?
No, I didn't ever go at Brack. No.
No, okay. It was Envoy. Yeah, didn't have a very good champs. Fair enough.
Okay, you can't even remember them. That's how relevant.
It's because they're so bloody many.
Relevant. Give me there's so many. There were 16 teams. I can't even remember. Well, you had Envoy, Llama God, who was fucking dreadful the whole year. Who was the other Donny?
Jet Li.
Jet Li. Where did he end up?
Top 30.
I can't even remember. So again, Reedy got so much shit for saying these players were going to fade out and be shite. Yeah, he was right again. Madness. Madness, I tell you. Absolute fucking madness.
I'm on board with Reedy. Reedy, get this man on the team. Let Reedy just dictate. Admittedly, your team meeting, if anything, your team meeting with Reedy in the franchise room will be something spectacular.
At least it'll be fun.
Hide him when the owners come around.
One thing Reedy definitely isn't, and that's someone that sugarcoats things. He'll tell you straight, and that's what I respect most about Reedy. And most of the time, I'd say there are some times where sometimes maybe he's a bit too pushy in his own opinion, but I'd say the vast majority of the time he's pretty spot on.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't let Reedy do the firing. Any place.
Yeah,
just throw a bag at someone.
Oh man, HR will be having a nightmare.
No, but that's what you need, man. You need people getting battered in the changing room.
Said it.
Fucking boot at someone. Fucking, let's say I'm fucking working with who's a confirmed team? Who's got a confirmed team? Oh, Minnesota, and I just throw a fucking shoe at fucking Silly's head because he's dropping a fucking 0.7.
Right.
There's more from you in this next map, mate. Fucking smack in the face.
Oh, Marky. Any last thoughts?
When's Toronto announcing?
Yeah, come on, mate.
We just have to wait and see. Tune into
Have you not been on their Twitter page?
Yeah, I mean, I've there's something happened on the you can see there's a date on the Twitter account.
Literally something happened on the 24th. I mean, they've done it backwards because I don't understand.
Yeah, it's Americans, isn't it?
Well, they're Canadian, but you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm just doing that to tell Dom, who's probably watching the stream.
Yeah, probably announcing the name or something.
All right.
But yeah, just stay tuned to the COD XTO Twitter account, and you'll see some announcements, I'm sure, sooner rather than later.
Awesome, fantastic. Tunn?
Nothing in particular for me. I think just obviously, if anybody didn't know, we're on Spotify, Apple, we're on Google as well, so that will be posted out, the link for that as well. But you can just search it; we'll be on there. It typically gets put up within a couple hours. But other than that, nothing in particular. Hopefully, the clicking and the keyboarding wasn't as bad this time round. I think it was fine, in all honesty. But we're back next week. Just let anybody know, we've been doing this for over a year now, so. Fucking hell. We were, Brice, you said it right the other day when you quoted it saying, oh, you'll only last 3 episodes is what we got told, but
been here for a year.
Here we are now. This is, I think, it's the 39th or the 40th episode we've ever done. And Reedy's been on for 20 of them. Hilarious.
Yeah, really
oh, sorry, I just creased myself up, man. I'm funny.
Oh.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Come
on, bro.
I'm sorry.
GM, fuck you. Anyway, you
I
are
love Dom. I know her and my fiance are good friends. It's fine. It's completely fine. Everyone chill.
Reece,
what the hell, bro?
there we
That's
go.
So unprofessional of you.
I love that randoms. We will throw that to Reece Price. Make sure we'll throw a host to Reece after this. He has been a guest on here.
What's his
It's obviously just rated. Come on, man. Get the
no,
fuck
It is just rated.
Okay.
It did used to be something else from what I remember, but
rated EU1. Like, how do you not know these things? It's Reece fucking Price.
One more thing before you go. I know you've been trying to wind this down for about half an hour, but I would like to say I want everyone to tune into BT Sport tomorrow. Celtic are playing. Just make sure you tune in. Big game.
Oh yeah,
I'll tell you what I won't be doing.
Yeah, just tuning into that, and I'll be going straight over to the Gfinity studios. Hold tight, Gfinity.
You got the Gfinity studios tomorrow, mate? Yeah.
For God's sake.
I just threw that into piss ton off. Anyway, as I was saying, I've lost all my train of thoughts here, but I appreciate you guys coming on. It has been over a year for Spitfire. We are probably one of the longest going podcasts for Call of Duty.
The longest going.
I think so. I appreciate everybody who's come into it. I know sometimes we've had dodgy production. I know sometimes we've had dodgy episodes.
Still got a picture of me in the background, mate.
It's the best. I've taken part of my own production now, and it's fantastic. But you are right. It's taken a year, but we are now currently on Spotify, Google, all these other things. You can tune in here. Hopefully, it's been good enough for you. We do appreciate everybody for the continued support on the YouTube, on Twitch. We are slowly growing, but we are growing. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.